All right, we'll call the meeting to order. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right, just as a note, an executive session was held prior to tonight's meeting for personnel reasons. Before we go to citizens to be heard, Commissioner Young, would you please welcome everyone to our meeting?
Yeah, so good evening, everybody. Just want to welcome you to our meeting. Like Commissioner Evans usually says, this is a place to be heard and be seen. We want your input. We work for you, and we want to make sure that your issues and your voices are heard here. So please, if you have comments, please bring them forward, and we're more than happy to listen to you. And just a huge thank you to staff, especially Abby, for last weekend for Community Day. Staff here did an excellent job. It's a place that the community as a whole has seen. So just want to thank everybody for all their hard work and the volunteers and the people that if you're in the neighborhood, please stop in and see the art display that's now in the lobby of the township building. That was a year-long or summer-long art series that people have put things together. So it's not just a one-day thing. It's months of work leading up to it. So, welcome to our meeting, and let's get to work.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Young.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda, citizens to be heard. Anyone here in the township building? I do not see any hands raised.
Good.
Any in Zoom? None at this time. All right. Moving right along. Engineer. We have Ross online. Welcome, Ross.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Hi.
Good evening.
All right.
Good
So,
evening.
Looking sharp, Ross.
thank you. For tonight, we just had a few updates that we wanted to give, like verbal updates for a few of the projects. So the first one is the 2024 road program. So right now, we've got all the contracts signed. We had our pre-construction meeting. We're working through submittal reviews, and we anticipate that construction is going to start on September 23rd. It would start out with the ADA ramp construction at Morgan Drive and Suzanne Drive. That would probably take roughly a week and a half or 2 weeks. And then the road milling and overlaying, like the bulk of the work, would then begin after that. So that's underway. Just wanted to provide you that update. The next one is the Spackman Davis Farmhouse. So sort of along a similar thread, the contracts are all signed, and we held our pre-construction meeting, and we're reviewing submittals right now. And we're also planning to have another meeting and coordination session with the contractor. We're going to work through some of the best ways to maybe preserve or salvage some of the historical components of the porch on the south end of the building, as it needs a lot of structural repair, but we're going to put a little extra thought into how to deal with some of the historical pieces on that structure. And then
Appreciate that, Ross.
Yeah.
Yep. And as far as construction, we're anticipating that they'd actually be out there starting the work the first week of October.
Whoa.
Yeah, we had a couple of weeks that we lost due to some insurance issues, trying to get the contractor to provide all the insurance that was required by the contract. And so they did ultimately do that, but it took a little bit to work through that.
All right.
Was there a color discussion on the roof yet? Metal? Are there color options?
I don't think that has been discussed yet. I know that's something we would definitely be doing. So I do expect we'll reach out to the township very shortly, because we have received their roof material submittal. So I'm sure along with that, we'll go color selection.
Thanks so much, Ross.
Sure.
Yeah. And your third item?
Yes. And then third item is Beaver Creek Trail Segment 5 over by Lloyd Park. So we were having a little bit of a challenge for a while with the stormwater management approach due to most of the site being in the floodplain. And then we came up with a different approach with using a different calculation methodology. And by doing that, we were able to get it figured out basically and size a stormwater management system that fits up in the little corner of the site that's not in the floodplain. And we rerouted a bit of the trail at that northwest end of the dog park area to go. It kind of loops just to the north of the existing dedicated bench. So we now have what we feel is a good layout with a stormwater management system that meets all the requirements. And we're planning next week. We have some vacuum test holes planned at the gas pipeline that runs through the site so that we can verify the elevations there and make sure our storm pipes can get across that. Then following that, we would do infiltration testing at the location of the proposed stormwater management system. And once those are completed, then we'll be in a good position to wrap up the design and get our permit submissions put together.
Appreciate the update. I do know we had a hand raised up here, but first, let me ask commissioners, any questions for Ross on these 3 projects?
No.
We're pretty excited here.
Let's move forward.
Abby, who did we have on Zoom? And Mark, you have a question. Welcome.
A long time. Welcome.
Yep, you are unmuted. Can you hear us? What do you think? Is his hand still raised? Okay. Oh, there you are, Mark.
Yes.
There was another box up in the upper left-hand corner. I had to check. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, everybody.
Yes. How are you?
I'm sorry. I was asking about the Speckman Farm project. Is this now moving onto the house and away from the barn? I may have missed one meeting, so I'm sorry if I'm, behind schedule, but just want to get an idea of what we're doing there.
Oh, Ross, yeah. You want to explain that? It's just the roof that we're having redone, but Ross, if you can get into detail.
Yes. Yep. So this is definitely for the farmhouse, and the bulk of the project is to remove the existing roof materials, which are sort of a combination of asphalt shingles, metal roof, and cedar shingles. So the main roof and all of the little sub roofs, the roof material is getting pulled off, and that's getting replaced with a metal standing seam roof. And then as part of that, the porch on the south side of the farmhouse is in pretty poor structural condition. So there are some repairs there, both to the actual timber structure, and then also fastening the porch securely to the mason, the stone of the farmhouse building, so that it is secure with a little bit of foundation repairs under one of the supporting posts. And I'd say that's really the gist of the project.
Okay. And what is the estimate of how much this will cost?
I don't recall the exact number, but I think it was around $185,000 was the low bidder. We had estimated that it would be around $300,000, so we're actually quite pleased with where the low bid came in.
And for the commissioners, how are we exactly paying for this?
We're using the open space fund.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're using the open space fund, which was paid for by developers.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mark. And did I see 2 other hands raised? Excuse me. Yes, welcome, Dan.
You're muted, Dan.
Yeah, yep. Got the thing.
Oh, there you go.
Dan Hagan, 217 Park Drive. Question about the
Bless you.
trail.
that I just heard about. I mean, I've heard about it in other things too. Is there a place to see the proposed area that this trail is going to go to?
Yes. Actually, if you just give me a moment, I can pull up the plan and share it on the screen. Okay. Can you see what looks like a bit of a green rendering there?
Yes,
Mhm.
Okay.
yes.
So, on the left side of the plan, this is Lloyd Park. So you may recognize the parking and the turnaround circle at the end of the
Yep.
park. And then down at the bottom right of the plan, the athletic fields, or you can see just a little corner of the field there. And then there's the gravel parking area. And so then I'll zoom in a little bit. So the proposed segment 5 of the overall Beaver Creek Trail, it's proposed to extend from the circle turnaround at Lloyd Park and run along. This is the general alignment. This is a little bit older of a rendering. So the new alignment is going to just go a little bit more northerly, closer to the property line here. But it's generally the same idea, is that we run through the property here, avoiding some small pockets of wetlands here and here. So we kind of dodge through those, and then it heads down to a proposed bridge crossing over the creek here.
Okay. You know me, I just tend to show up whenever the word floodplain comes out. It's kind of like a genie out of a lamp.
Yes, and thankfully, if what we're building were to become underwater here, nothing would be harmed. So it's really a primary just an asphalt paved path for shared use, like walking and bicycling.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. We had one more. Oh, okay. Great. Ross, thank you so much. I appreciate the updates on these.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Have a great
Thank
evening.
you.
You too. Take care.
Right,
Next
bye-bye.
on the agenda, Township Manager. Oh, yes. We do have a hand raised here. Tony, come on up to the mic. Well, he ran.
He went on down the creek. Misty. Hey.
Hi, Tony. Is that on?
I
The mic
can't-
on?
We can't hear.
Ross, that's the engineering part that Ross is doing.
Yes.
Now, is that to apply for a grant?
Mm,
The plan is, this is the engineering, and next year we have already met with DCNR, Department of Conservation Natural Resources, and proposed this concept for construction. They were very positive about being able to fund this project.
What project?
We'll see. I mean, it depends on the funds that they have available and other types of projects that are submitted. It is a competitive grant. Where if we can get the whole project, that would be fantastic.
What's the total of the grant, of the project?
We don't,
It
we'll
wasn't-
know
Wasn't it 8 million?
the total project for all the segments.
Wrong trail?
It might
That
be.
was the municipal drive bridge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Would be less than 8 million.
Way less than 8 million
What is the
for
project
this
total?
segment. So once Ross is done with this design, then we'll be able to have
Okay.
an actual estimate. We don't have it until the design is done, unfortunately.
thank you.
And then we'll use that number to apply for the grants.
Okay.
If the DCNR funds come up short, of course, we'll be going after other funding. Primarily, the DCNR fund does have a match requirement, but there are options, for example, the county, and we're exploring those to apply to help offset any sort of township contributions. The fact that the engineering is complete is a huge step, and funding agencies do look at that favorably.
Now, is it a flood zone or some of it's in a flood zone?
It does flood in that area.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. All right, we can move on. Township Manager.
Good evening. Thank you.
Good evening, Don.
Have a couple of items here. And the first one I am actually going to have pass over to.
Do you guys have a
Solicitor
copy, the latest
Yes.
copy? Because I have extras.
You all have a copy, right?
No, we don't. Yeah, I figured every.
It was in your packet.
I think it's inside of the.
I have mine.
No,
It's the ordinance here. It's inside our.
no, I don't have. What? Where's
Inside
that?
of our packet.
Wait a minute.
In your, it's on the third page. Page 2. Page 2.
This
Riveting,
Yes.
the riveting topic.
Oh, is that what
Some
you?
interesting words here. I had to look up myself. So we talked about this briefly. A lot of vape shops in the township, which right now just come under the definition for a retail establishment. That's sort of where this ordinance started, to call that out as a separate use. We then talked about some other sort of similar use, hookah bar, another hookah lounge. So that's what we talked about. Also looked at your medical marijuana dispensary. Currently today, there's a state law that allows those. And what that law says is that you have to treat a medical marijuana dispensary as you treat a pharmacy. So that's when we first adopted the regulations relating to those. We put them in the same zoning districts as your pharmacies, and we have basically the same regulations. So this, the thought was that you would get ahead of or not medical marijuana, but if the state was ever to legalize recreational marijuana, where we would try to get ahead of that and determine if you are permitted to say what district it's in. So that's one of the provisions of this ordinance. And then the last thing is that there's certain products, I don't know if I say this right, cannabinoid products that are being sold today lawfully. And the thought was that those types of establishments could be as separately defined use. So if we just go from the beginning to the end, starting on page 2, we're taking out the definition of retail business establishment and taking out of the definition of retail use these new defined uses, which include a tobacco store / smoke shop, a regulated cannabinoid substance retailer, or unregulated cannabinoid substance retailer. So we have to make sure that those, which right now, the way your ordinance is read, would be considered just a retail store. But we're now exempting that out from those definitions so that we can treat them differently as to defining them, identifying what district they're able to be in, how they get approved in that district, and what the area in bulk and design, some of the design regulations would be. So then we go into section 2, which we're adding definitions that are necessary. Cannabinoid, and this is something I actually had one of my colleagues do a little bit of research, because when you see other example ordinances, there was different terminology used. We tried to be very comprehensive in this definition, and just include many of the products that come from the cannabis plant. So that's the purpose of that definition being very broad. Hookah, again, definition. Hookah bar lounge, definition. Tobacco store, smoke shop. And some of these came from examples. I know Don was able to provide us examples from other municipalities that have enacted similar regulations. So a lot of these come from that. This definition actually comes from that example. And then we have the 2 new uses, regulated cannabinoid substances retailer, which right now that use does not exist because this is not, it's not legal today. But if and when the state were to pass legislation and that legislation allows the municipality to dictate in its zoning code where these go and establish regulations, we're getting ahead of the curve by having this definition. The last definition, the unregulated, those probably exist today in your municipality. There are probably some of the, what you call the vape shops, they're selling these products. Those would have to remain as lawful, non-conforming uses. And I talked to Ray before the meeting started to make sure that he has a list of those if this ordinance were to be enacted, so that you would have to recognize those as being lawful. They started out as a retail store. If somebody new wants to come in to sell that type of product, they would have to comply with this new ordinance if you were to adopt it. So section 3 was one of these things that is a mistake in your current code. I think when it was adopted, it was not codified correctly. So when I was looking at all of your regulations, I realized this was a mistake. Right now, dispensaries with more than 7,500 square feet are supposed to only be allowed by conditional use, and your code today listed as a by right use. So again, I think when it was codified, that was a mistake. So that will just correct that The next sections, 4, 5, 6, 7, are this is the use provisions in your I district, your industrial district. That's 155-29. Paragraph C is your paragraph that identifies conditional uses. So all of these uses will now be allowed in your I district by conditional use. That's what paragraphs 4, 5, 6, and 7 do. Paragraph 8 identifies your matrix chart, which is your bulk standards for those 4 new uses. Section 9, right now you don't have anything that dictates any regulations for medical marijuana dispensaries. So what we did here is create a new section and basically copy what the state law allows you to regulate as far as that use. Section 10, because we're now defining a new use, the hookah bar / lounge, these are the regulations that somebody coming in would have to be able to meet to be able to establish that use by conditional use in the I district. Section 11, same thing. These are the conditional use standards that somebody who wants to establish this use would have to be able to demonstrate and prove that they can meet these criteria. 12, same thing for regulated cannabinoid substances. And then 13 is for the unregulated. And a lot of them are similar. So we tried to model similar. You say what district they're allowed, how they're allowed, and then the separation distances. So we used 500 feet from from a residential use or residentially zoned property, and then 500 feet. Let's go back.
Or something. There.
Well, in some it's 500. So let's go to section 10, which is at the bottom of page 5. So this is hookah bar lounge. 1,000 feet of another hookah bar, or another one of these other uses that we define, and also daycares. That's something, if you guys want to change that to be closer, a lower number, that's fine. And then 500 feet for existing residential use or residential zoning district. In the other uses, I think I went down to 500 for everything. So I could change that to be 500 if we want that to be 500.
Feet.
Yeah, and I don't know if we want it to be consistent with all the different uses. If we just want it to be, if you look at all of these uses and you want 1,000-foot separation from one to the next, regardless of which of the use it is, the 4 uses we're talking about, we could have it be 1,000 feet. And then also we need to decide if you have this use, how far you want it to be from residential use. Keeping in mind though that the only district that you're allowed to have this is your industrial district. So we may want to look at that district, which obviously potentially could be changing with the new ordinance. So we'll have to look at that when we get to the new ordinance. But are there residential uses within 1,000 feet or 500 feet of that district? That might be something to look at. But that's it in a nutshell. If anybody has any specific questions or comments, I can answer them. This would be something that if you're comfortable with it, or if we want to make changes to it, we could send it to your planning commission. Because it is a zoning amendment, it does need to be reviewed by your planning commission and the Chester County Planning Commission.
I have a silly question. The hours that they're not allowed to be in use are 11 p.m. to 8 a.m.
And that was just arbitrary. That I looked at other ordinances,
Okay.
but that's something you can opine upon.
You can't get a decent meal in this township after 10, so you shouldn't do anything.
And that's
after
fine.
10.
That's absolutely fine.
Do you have defined in there how you measure that out?
Yes. Yes. Yep. So change that to be 10 p.m.
I like it to be 10.
I'm fine with 10.
9.
Yes.
Hey, no, 10
is
to 9.
Just a question, Kristen. If we just send it to our planning commission and try to get comments back, we can then send later to the Chester.
That's right. It can be at different times.
Okay.
That's correct. And that would probably be a good idea.
Mhm.
Get another set of eyes on it.
You did a really wonderful job with this.
Oh, thanks.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Wait, It's in regards to some of the, I don't know if it's regulated or unregulated, the slot machines that you find in these dispensaries or some of these retail stores that are now becoming dispensaries. Are they regulated as well?
Right. You might have to tell me on this one. I mean, I think, and Chief, I think we got you involved in the conversation as well. I think that they are regulated, but the state doesn't do anything about it. Am I right on that?
Because when you go in them, that's what's a draw
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
It's on the list.
It's complicated, yeah.
Well, and it's about to be.
I think it fill a whole meeting tonight.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just was wondering, because you see a lot of them established in the same place.
Lights and there's police.
And that's what's drawing people.
I just listened to something the other day that they're planning on trying to help fund SEPTA with taxes on these slot machine or skills games.
The skills games, yeah, they changed them to skills.
So
games.
that's one of the,
Shut up, Tony.
Skill-
But as far as Janus, if you're asking like, does this cover any of that? It does not.
Okay, so they're
No.
unregulated, regulated. Okay.
Not, most gaming enforcement
Mhm.
is prioritized if there are other crimes linked to or related to gaming. Drug sales, etc.
Mm.
The machines themselves, I would say, is complicated.
It's
Well,
complicated.
and just from a code enforcement perspective, we've teamed up and we've tried to tackle this situation. And there's nothing we can put our finger on to be able to address that.
Right, because you remember the one right there that we had a lot of
I
problems
could-
with on
I can
Lincoln
give you
Highway?
15.
There are a lot now. Because when you go in, all you see is skill game machines, you know? Yeah.
We've
Turning them into casinos.
we've done undercover investigations. Our department, we've involved the district attorney's office. We involved Pennsylvania State Police.
Mhm.
They have an office of gaming enforcement. So trust me, we've been down that road. And if there were solutions or something that we could have done about it, and we started at it a few years ago when there was more of a proliferation of these
Yes.
machines in a number of businesses in the township, we would have.
But they're out of our control. They're out of control.
And this has definitely been a conversation in Harrisburg for quite a number of years, without consensus being reached.
But you see the overlay, what's happening in
Yeah.
some of the same places where they have the retail,
Yeah.
the same things
We-
going on there.
Jane, we were successful on the one because we do have a definition for a wagering establishment.
Gambling.
And so we were able to stop one.
Wow.
But that was only because there was no other sales
No other
taking
use,
place.
yeah.
They just.
well, the other thing was
So now.
the landlord didn't want them there anymore.
Correct.
So that also was a
Yeah.
beneficial.
Selling.
So if you go into a retail store, like a gas station, and you go in and they have 5 skilled games and people are lined up playing them along the wall, it's okay. And then you can leave there and
I
just
don't
walk
know.
over to the
I-
hookah lounge and.
I think
It's
you'd have, yeah, and I think you'd have to look though. I wouldn't say that there's nothing from a zoning perspective. If the analysis is they were given use and occupancy and the code enforcement officer believes that the use that's permitted there is a retail store and there's absolutely no retail store going on and the only thing that's happening are these machines, I think
That's
you
a
could stop that as an illegal zoning use.
Which
But it's very fact specific in terms of identifying what did they come in as, what's really happening.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say it's completely hopeless.
That's happening. Big time.
We do have a resident here with comment.
I
or
brought that
question.
up about 4 or 5 years ago to the other manager.
This is Tony
and asked her-
Desario
Tony
speaking.
Desario, Loomis Avenue. What percentage was the township getting out of those machines? She didn't even know the machines were in there. But to tell you how it works, the owner of the machines, actual owner of the machines gets 40%. The guy in the store gets 40% and the state gets 20%. How they
But how does the player, what do
how
they
they
get?
manage the money is, I mean, I count the money too.
There's no tax on it either.
Pardon me?
There's no tax on
There's
it.
no tax if you cash. Yeah, there is no tax. Like if you win $4,000 and you're out the door, which is very nice for a person that wins it.
Mhm.
Not me,
Those
but the
machines
person well.
are taken
But good answer.
It's
Tony.
10,000
it's
before they
not
give
tax, but,
somebody.
but that's how it works for the regulation of the money,
Oh, wow.
how the money is going. So the state does get 20%. Now, how they,
Hence why you probably see no enforcement.
Hmm.
pardon me?
I don't know if I want to say that.
Oh, okay.
And ironically, a lot of
Identifying.
agents who work for enforcement agencies responsible for gaming enforcement have retired and are now working for the other side. They're working for the defense. There is an extremely, there's a lot of lobbying about it in Harrisburg, and some of these cases where they've attempted prosecution have actually been tied up in the courts for years with no resolution.
Wow.
So,
But the state is getting money. That's all I wonder.
Yeah, everybody's
know.
getting paid, so everybody's happy.
All right, thank you, Tony.
Thank you. Thank you.
So do you want on the separation distances, do you want them all to be consistent at 500? Or do you want the planning commission to weigh in on that?
I guess the question is, if we look at these properties, if we make it where they're not eligible to even
Yeah,
be,
that's right. So I think that,
Limited on.
yeah.
on
Yeah.
Locations.
I guess my concern is I don't want to get in a position where
you're allowing it, but you're not really allowing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. We'll talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So pass along planning.
I think so.
Yeah, get some
Okay.
feedback from them as well, and if
Great.
any residents have any comments. Oh, oh, okay.
We'll take two.
Any residents online? Okay. This was a discussion item and we will continue discussing.
Big move. Big revenue.
Thank you very much, Kristen, for the work
Yeah,
on
thank
this.
you, Kristen.
Quite a lot.
I love the fact that it's more defined. I think that'll help us out in the future. Thank you. Nope.
Good night.
All
All
right.
right.
Good to see you.
We're in vacationing.
My daughter, she just started job. I'm at 8:30 doctor.
Aw,
All right.
have a good evening.
Thank you.
Very
Bye.
good one.
Mr. Vimazal, what do we have next?
Thank you. And next on the agenda, just a quick update for the board and for the public on the TCDI. This is the Transportation and Community Development Initiative. As you may recall, the township was indirectly awarded funding through the DVRPC, the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission, for a study, multi-agency study on multimodal improvements for Lincoln Highway. Received word that proposals were received. They're being reviewed by DVRPC with an anticipated award date of early October. And then we will be discussing scheduling to kick off those meetings. This would be approximately a year-long project. Very comprehensive, involve quite a few agencies, including the Transportation Management Association of Chester County, DVRPC, County of Chester County, PennDOT, SEPTA, and other relevant agencies associated with multimodal pedestrian and cyclist movement. Would look towards improving safety and transportation access along Lincoln Highway. And one condition that's included in this is a gateway component to the corridor of Lincoln Highway. Obviously, we'll be heavily involved throughout the project, and really excited to get to work on this. It will be a huge benefit in applying for future grant opportunities. The agencies that we'll be applying to will be involved in developing the study. So I think that goes a long way. One other point to mention is my understanding is that they are looking at this as not a pilot project, but essentially from a feasibility standpoint, how can this be replicated? So there's a lot of other communities with similar types of roadways as Lincoln Highway that we have in Callan. And this would impact municipalities throughout the Delaware Valley region of Pennsylvania, suburban Pennsylvania, Philly, Delaware, and Jersey. So being at the forefront of this initiative is important, and I think it's quite an honor they selected Callan to really start this project.
Mm-hmm.
Right. 'Cause we're on the move.
Yep.
We're on the
I,
move.
of course, will keep everyone informed as we go through. It is going to be a lengthy project, but a lot of benefits, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this unfolds.
That's good.
Thank you, Don.
Callan Township is always leading the way.
On the move.
right.
Model.
Did we have a hand raised? I saw something
Yeah.
pop up there. Yes.
Was, but it won't.
Oh, okay. Commissioners, any comments on this? Thank you, Don.
So happy.
Appreciate it. Comments from residents in the back there?
Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh.
A lot of this was coming out of conversations that we were having in the Lincoln Highway Commission about those problems. It was meant to be a turn lane, but it's an illegal passing lane. Can't tell you how many times I've had someone, come up my tail and then pass me at 80 in that lane. And so yeah, this could really be a big thing. Town is moving. I'm doing it again.
Yep.
It was a passing.
Tony would know. Tony's been here since the dirt showed up.
When it was dirt.
When it was dirt.
Ride your buggy.
All right, one last thing, Don. What do you have?
So last on my agenda for this evening, Director Huggins, Public Works, has a request to purchase a backhoe. It's a Caterpillar backhoe. The existing backhoe that Public Works relies on for bigger projects, and their department is taking on some pretty large initiatives under his leadership. But that backhoe dates 2008. It's had a series of problems, transmission issues. The instrument panel has had to be fixed a number of times. It overheats, and hydraulic lines are constantly being worked on. At this point, they're very concerned about putting it on the roadway to get to job sites. If it breaks down, that's a problem. So he would be interested in purchasing a new backhoe. It's backhoe loader, Caterpillar. And in looking at funding, because these are quite expensive pieces of equipment, we did identify the liquid fuels fund there's quite a bit of funding in there. A portion of liquid fuels we receive each year, about 20%, can be allocated towards equipment. Currently, and normally this fund goes and will continue to go towards the road program, of course. But in past experience, I know PennDOT does not like to see a municipality have a large amount of reserve in this fund. It demonstrates that it's not being spent, and they start to question if they need to provide the same amount. That the liquid fuels is calculated based on the number of roads within the township. We traditionally receive around 490 to 410 a year, 390,000, 410,000 a year in funding for our road program. Currently, we have around 950,000 in this program. That's getting dangerously close to a situation where PennDOT may come in with an audit and question why we're not spending funds. In the equipment purchase, available for equipment purchase, around 361,000 is available to be allocated towards equipment. With the trade-in of the existing backhoe, would receive around 44,000, and the total cost for the township would be, I believe, 138,000 for the new backhoe. This would be a good piece of equipment, especially if we continue to request Public Works to go out to some of the larger projects, stormwater pipe replacements, things of that sort. We do have the skill on staff to be able to do these projects successfully. They do need the equipment in order to make that happen, however. So this is a request, a discussion and or request to allocate 138,000 of liquid fuels towards the purchase of a new piece of equipment.
Thank you, Don. Commissioners, comments, questions? This new toy for Johnny?
Yeah, new toy.
Do we currently have a Caterpillar, or what do we
No.
currently have?
So 2008?
We have a We had, this one's replacing a cat and we have a JCB,
Okay.
And if I
Which one's
understand correctly,
the JCB.
Okay, that's the one we bought like 8 years ago. maybe?
2008.
Okay.
And we'll be able to use this as a trade-in to help offset the cost of the new one, so.
The Phillies won the World Series when that one we have was built. I mean, plasma TV didn't exist. It's
Good investment.
It is. As well, and the fact that he brought his toys over to Community Day to show off to the kids.
All the boy toys, bro. Yes.
He was handing out the coloring books, and I realized in the back of the coloring books were applications. I like that idea. It started early.
Yeah, get these kids interested.
It is a joke.
Mhm.
Just in case. No comments from commissioners?
No.
Any comments here from public? None at this time. Thumbs up. We do have thumbs up. Anyone in Zoom? And we do have an action item here. Entertain a motion to approve the purchase of 138,000. You have 138,800 on the memo and only 138,000 listed on our motion.
On the agenda,
Just wanted to confirm if it was the 800 or
which is it?
we are getting a trade-in value of 42,000.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That brings the new total to
38,800.
the 138.
Which is it? 138?
Would be 138,800.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's 138,800,
Okay.
which includes the 42,000 trade-in from the 2008 model. All
Okay.
right, entertain a motion.
so moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor? Say
Aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. What's the lead time? How long will it
Sure.
take?
Next year?
No, I thought he said they had one on the lot.
Oh, wow, great. We'll be here tomorrow.
Better.
That's thanks.
Thank you very much, commissioners. That's all I have this evening.
That should help us.
Yeah.
sort
Thank you.
out a lot of-
And next we have Civil Service Commission eligibility list.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Steve Dentino. I'm with the Town Civil Service Commission.
Welcome, Steve.
Hello.
Beautiful day, beautiful evening.
Goodness, yes.
We had a Civil Service Commission meeting last night, and that was for the purpose of approving an official fire department eligibility list for applicants. Officially, there are 2 people on that list. Person by the name of, want the names of these?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cameron Kronmuller and Nicholas Sands. And we have this information before you for your consideration and approval.
All right, commissioners, any questions on this?
Yeah.
So this motion is just to approve the eligibility list, correct?
That's correct.
Yes. Questions from residents? None here in the township building?
No.
Any in Zoom? All right, for an action item, just a motion to approve the Civil Service Commission eligibility list.
So
With the
moved.
two-
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Tindaro, second by Commissioner Evans. All in favor? Say aye.
What,
Aye.
I
Aye.
had a question.
Oh, yes.
But below it, it says a motion to approve the conditional hiring.
That's
So
next.
So,
Separate motion.
oh, they're 2
It's two
different
separate,
separate?
yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Motion passes 5-0. All right. Next on the agenda is the conditional hiring offer. Commissioners?
No question.
Which?
So, do we need to state their names and what they're being hired for, or how does that?
Yeah, so Commissioners, we actually have 2 vacant positions for firefighter currently budgeted. So I would ask permission to get permission to provide 2 conditional offers of employment off of that list that you just certified.
And one would be a full-time, one would be a part-time? Or would they both be full-time positions?
So we have 2 full-time positions open.
Okay.
One of the candidates would be full-time, one only one's part-time at this time.
Okay.
All right.
No questions from commissioners?
No.
I'll reach out to the residents here. Any questions? Okay, me and Zoom. Nope.
Commissioner.
Yes.
Yeah, before you do that, can you just officially certify the two names that we gave you?
Yes.
Or, I'm sorry, or ask the Civil Service Commission to certify the two names?
All right. Well,
I
that's
certify the two
Yes.
names that are on the list, Cameron Ron Muller and Nicholas Sands.
Thank you so much. Commissioners, entertain a motion to
So moved.
Second.
offer conditional hiring
No.
offers. Yeah, there you go. So move Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Kennedy. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Yeah, these guys are all excited.
Yes.
So, all right.
In here.
These guys in.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You can't rely on volunteers. All right, have fun.
Get there before the cake's cut.
Agenda board minutes for August 29th. I apologize. I did not see that in my packet.
Yeah, no.
It came in an email.
Did they?
They're up here.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's an addition up here.
Yeah, they're in your.
that's the addition?
Abby and Lisa were at.
And Lisa's.
Oh, she just added the name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where'd you go? See what's added.
Tony, you sneaking out the back?
Hey,
Oh,
Hey, hey.
back here.
boy, Tony.
God, he was invited to.
I want to play some skill games.
He's gonna check out where the trail is.
We're down to, all right.
That's all.
That's not nice.
All right, commissioners, any questions on the minutes? No. Not entertain a motion to approve. Moved
So moved.
and second. Moved by Commissioner Kennedy, second by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes have been approved, 5-0. On the agenda, Finance Department, we have check approval, check run of 52,652 to 52,725. Any concerns, comments? If not, entertain a motion.
No.
Approved.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Moved by Commissioner Tindaro, second by Commissioner Evans. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Checks have been approved, 5-0.
Yes.
And turn the page. Top secret.
I was thinking that.
All right, next on the agenda, board liaison reports. We can start off with Park and Rec. The exciting one.
Exciting.
So much to talk
Hats
about.
off to Abby and team for doing an outstanding job again for the community day. And even in spite of the threat of rain, everybody came out and they weathered it and they had a beautiful time. And the rain didn't seem to really disturb anybody, especially the children. I mean, everybody went about, enjoying one another. It was a warm rain day, so it wasn't, a disastrous type of rain. And then the sun came out and went in and came out, but I think it was a successful time and well enjoyed by many. So thank you again. We didn't meet because it was Labor Day, but even looking beyond that, I think there's a lot of planning going on behind the scenes as we get ready for this very eventful season of the year, the last quarter that's going to be filled with lots of events starting in October all the way until Christmas. So stay posted because there are a lot of events that are going to be fun for the family and a lot of events that everybody can participate in, and cleaning and stream medals and plannings. And he's dreaming of stuff now. I don't know what's going to come up. So stay tuned because it's going to be a great way to end this year in Callan, and a lot of great things are happening. In regards to COG, we did host it here at the township last month, which was great. Everybody seems to enjoy coming here. I understand this was always the fun place to be. So we do take great pride in every opportunity in hosting the COG meetings here once again. On September 25th, we're going to be having it's called an expert's guide to planning and zoning. Everyone's welcome to come. It's going to be held at the Chester County Public Safety Campus over in Modena. From 6 to 8. And it's going to be hosted by some of our local attorneys that specialize in engineering, surveying, and planning and zoning laws. So that should be exciting. And I think we all got a copy of this.
Mhm.
And if anybody out there in Zoom world would like to go, I think it's on our website. Or I'll give it to Abby and we'll post it. So look forward if you're really interested in knowing what really goes on behind the scenes. Everyone's welcome to come. It should be very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. We also spend a lot of time, again, always talking about how we can defeat some of the costs with trash fees and what does that look like. And it's just amazing that some people actually get to pay their own fees and they get to select who they want to be their carrier. I can see that being complicated. Like you have 5 different carriers out in the community, just trucks running all over the place, collecting trash. So I think where we are is probably where we may be in the meantime. So just listening to some of the options, it's interesting, and people are actually collecting data all the time to figure out how can we work together as one entity to solve some of the high costs and the disparities in services amongst trash collectors. And I'm sure over the time it's going to change. I mean, they're already saying the landfill, how much more can it take? What happens in the future? So these are things we always got to kind of stay on top of and kind of find ways to improve how we service our residents with trash collection and also with recyclables as well. I know that they do tag your recyclable in trash cans. So you just think you're going to throw anything in our waste receptacles. That's not going to happen. Because if you ever get a tag on it, every once in a while you may get tagged. And that means that we will not pick up your recycles, or we may not pick up your trash if we find out that there are things in there that aren't permissible. So just be careful about what you're disposing in our receptacles. Also, I probably hand this over to our chief. There's like so much federal money out there. We discussed a lot of the grants that are coming available throughout Chester County. Tons of money, chief, for you. So I'm going to present what I have to our chief because there's like lots of money for violence interventions and prevention programs. And there were so many programs that for recruitment incentives for law enforcement, over $14 million. I mean, so when people say there's not money out there to make improvements in the county or even in our municipality, there's tons of information that's flooding in just about every day. I've never seen so much money come down the pike. Have you, Don?
It's a good time to.
It's a good time to just really do a lot of great things here in Callan, and I was excited about that. And then lastly, we discussed across the board, like what type of I guess guest speakers we have time to time, and what things are of most importance in our township as well as across the municipalities throughout Western Chester County. And transportation is on my heart. So that was a big one because we had places in remote places of our county where people cannot get transportation to come into the mainstream. So if you live in Modena, for example, how can you get from Modena to Lincoln Highway to get a bus or to get to the train station? Right. So, those are things that we'll be having guest speakers come in and address. And that's a big, big issue. So we're looking, that was one of our better meetings that I sat in on for a very long time. So it was exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. I don't want to follow that. Always exciting. Okay, let's talk about what's underneath the streets, the sewer. You like that? You like that segue?
There's about 10 of them.
Yeah. Trying to make it exciting. All right. At the August meeting, we approved staff to forward the 2025 proposed budget to the Board of Commissioners. Of course, that will come to the Budget Committee first so we can tear it apart. Sorry, Scott. Next, the board authorized the vice chair to sign the sewer capacity reallocation extension and maintenance agreement and relinquishment agreement. Yes, it's a mouthful. For the Celebrity School project. Also, we authorized the vice chair to sign the financial security agreement for the Kia Auto Leasing project, which is named Open Hand Realty. Pause there for a reason. The sewer improvements subject to receiving the original letter of credit from them. And last thing is authorize the staff and the authority engineer to proceed with the phase 1 emergency stabilization of the existing sewer main that is located in the easement between Ray Road and Norma Drive. It's along a stream and the sewer pipe is actually exposed. So this is an emergency situation we're trying to take care of. As far as DARA, pretty much the same thing. DARA is in discussions with Borough of Downingtown, West Whiteland, Euclid about their flow projections and the future expansion at some point. Possibly. And the modernization project for the DARA plant is process of working on the design, permitting, financing, and possible grants for the modernization project. And that's all I have for DARA. As far as the fire board, we did not meet in August, but our draft budget has been submitted to the township to be reviewed by our budget committee prior to board approval. And that's wasn't exciting as Commissioner Kennedy, but I gave it a good shot. Next, Historical Commission.
This is going to be less exciting than we met on August 21st, but our focus was mostly on brainstorming for new things to do while getting our budget proposal together for next year. So there's not a whole lot to report on there. We will not be meeting this month due to conflicting schedules all over the place, but we will be back in action in October. We're just still thrilled about the attention that Spackman Davis Farm has received this year, and that the Edges Milling District, that the entire thing is up for National Register. So it's pretty cool stuff. So stay tuned.
Long time in making.
Hundreds of years.
History in the making.
And this past Sunday, the schoolhouse was open, as well as the Historical Society, which I was able to finally stop in. For some reason, I'm always gone in the first week of the month, so or not available. But it was very educational to go in there just to see the history of town. So I'm giving you a plug. Okay, get out. And do they have more?
One more.
One more?
Yeah,
October? Okay.
October.
I think we'll all be there on for that October one. We're talking.
Okay. Is it Lisa? Lisa that was manning it?
This week was probably Donna.
No, Donna wasn't.
Lisa. Leah?
No, Leah, I think was over at the schoolhouse.
Oh, all right. So yeah, she was. I don't know who was it.
Okay. But yeah, she was very informative. And her family actually goes back to the Mendenhalls. Is that Lisa? Okay, she was incredible. I just love sitting there talking. She gave me the full history. Half of it I already forgot before I walked out the door. Well worth it. Good plug.
Thank you.
Lincoln Highway.
So we have a scheduling conflict earlier this month. So we're moving our meeting to the end of the month on 9/24. So we'll meet then. And just as a report, we are continuing to look at Lincoln Highway and its needs and effects on Callan Township. One of the things tonight that we discussed came out of the Lincoln Highway meeting, the marijuana ordinance. So that's another addition to the Lincoln Highway Committee's record for this year.
And the
Fleet Streets.
Fleet Streets, yeah. So a busy one.
Josh. And last but not least, Ingleside Golf Course.
Hi, this is Lorraine Tendero, and I'll be talking about Ingleside Golf Course. That Ingleside Golf reports a robust August revenue and rounds played, interviewing several people for the golf pro job. Likely hire is possibly the end of September. There is a need to hire more people to work in the pro shop. So if you have any free time, sign up at the pro shop. Planning events and fundraisers into 2025. We are also looking into roof repair for the pro shop and considering several quotes. We're also looking into insurance claim to cover the cost. Golf committee meets this Monday, 9/29 at 12 noon. Feel free to stop in at the pro shop. And that's it. Thanks again.
All right, thank you, Lorraine. Next order of business, additional business. Any at this time, commissioners? Do not see any hands raised out here. All right, public comment. Adam, it's all yours. Okay, no.
No.
Thanks.
Kudos to Abby.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, bring up Dan. Yes, Dan.
Dan.
Hey, so I kept seeing that the Cohen project keeps getting postponed, and I didn't know if there was a new date for that yet.
What?
Cohen.
Yeah, the Cohen
Cohen
project.
project.
Yes.
Which
Hey,
is
Don, did you want to take that? Good question.
It's moved.
That is a really good
Okay.
question. It is. There was conflicts with the date selected. And as of right now, it's intended to be on the Planning Commission agenda, which is the 17th, correct? As far as the conditional use, we are still coordinating as to schedule those dates. So it was initially continued to the commissioner's business meeting at the end of the month, but there was a conflict. So we're still identifying dates. So more to come
Okay.
on that.
Well, I just wanted to throw out some information. I missed a few meetings, so I do apologize about that. But at the beginning of August, we had a nice storm kind of roll through here, and we were lucky enough that Debbie stayed a bit west of here because it would have followed right after the rain. And I think it was around August 3rd, down at the end at that corner. It's just a place that they might want to consider, like I say, is checking out, because I know 2 cars got stuck down there. Again, shame on them for driving in there, as they say, you know, with the whole, I forget what the phrase is, but don't go in that kind of water. But 2 cars got stuck down there, and it seemed like there was a lot of buildup. And I just don't know how far it becomes and where that plays into where they're planning. So just a thing for us to be aware of.
What's that for?
Turn around. We're not laughing at you,
Yeah,
Dan.
turn around,
believe
don't
us.
drown. That's it.
that.
Yeah. That's right. Turn
Sometimes
around,
it's so
don't
dark,
drown.
you
If
can't
they
even
didn't-
see, especially coming on the.
Yeah, it's
Right,
going
right.
to be the mantra for the rest of the year here now.
It's gonna be a
Yeah.
tough winter. ahead.
Because I did see they had blocked it off. They'd come and they did put the things up to block people driving. Of course that must have been, I guess, after those people got stuck. Because we saw the lights. I actually got nervous because I was coming home from something. And I thought I'd left my garage door open and there was flashing lights. And I said, "Oh goodness, I did leave the garage door open," but it wasn't. It was that there was a tow truck down there. So I just. Like I said, that was like, I think that storm wasn't even like a tropical kind of thing. It just dumped a lot of rain. I think it was like 5 inches or something like that. We got a good bit of water again in the backyard that flowed around to the side. I think a couple houses up, same thing. Nothing that infiltrated the house, but I do know that down that way it was they were coming up, and a couple of young girls, and they were like soaked, and they'd said it that their cars were basically totaled and everything. So I just don't know how much water ends up down there, but apparently it's a lot.
It is. Yeah, that whole area really got hit hard. But and some of those folks that got stuck in the water, at least they were smart enough to put the flashers on to warn everyone else not to go into that area.
Come under.
Yes, fair enough. Yes, kind enough to think of your fellow man. Agreed.
Oh.
All right, Dan, thank you.
Sure thing. Have a nice night.
You too, Dan.
Thank you.
All right. Did we have another hand raised? Okay. Yes, Mark. Those flashers really help.
Or what's his name?
Keeps making different blocks on my screen in order to be able to talk. So Mark D.
Go
Huff,
ahead.
20 Beaver Run Road, and received an invitation to get information on Mainline Health. Erecting 14 acres, I think it is, of the 60 acres that are on Lloyd Farm. So it's great that they put out the information, but I think it'd be great to hear from you because you probably should have known first, right?
They have not submitted any plans to this township. Don, did you want to just give an update on that?
No, at the moment, we have not received any plans to comment on. So they are engaging with the public, is our understanding first. So there's 2 dates scheduled for public information sessions, but this is the organization putting that forward, but we have not received any formal planning to review and to comment or to run through the regular process to date. No.
Okay. Have they actually bought the property?
I'm not quite sure.
That's the answer we should be able to answer.
We have not received notification that there's been a transfer of the property. It
You would
may
get the
be
transfer tax, wouldn't you?
Correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, that takes sometimes
That
6
takes
months
time.
to get the transfer tax.
They could be waiting to see what the public response is before they actually close a deal there.
Well, it seems strange to me that they would reach out to the public before they reached out to the administration. That's
Well,
going
actually,
to okay or not
that's what
okay.
that's what the last individual over there should have done. If you remember, they should have come to the public before they started their whole process to do something there. So, I'm fully invested in that land. So if I know anything, you'll know it. And
But
that's
they haven't
that's a
approached the
promise.
township at all.
we have not received any plans, and I
Any
know
communications, phone calls, emails, etc.
we may have received some questions about the property in terms of zoning and things of that sort, but as far as plans to review and to comment on, no, we have not received those yet. Once we do, well, of course, the process includes planning commission, and as you know, and presumably they'll be placed on the website for public review and as well. But we have not received any formal submissions so far. No.
I'm hoping they show something on the 19th because I'm going to be there. Very interested in knowing what they want to do. So
Yeah, I'm interested
didn't
too, Mark, and I know
cancel
you're in the
that?
same boat that I
They
am.
didn't cancel it?
yeah.
So,
So
I'm just curious, I guess I'll say, or bewildered that they wouldn't have, reached out to the township before they considered probably a pretty expensive piece of land. Who knows what it's going for now? But
because
Whatever it's zoned for.
like I said, and I could be wrong about this, but the last company that wanted to do something there went around the people and went to the township with plans and then got hammered. From what I know of Mainline Health, they're pretty upfront. They're very community oriented, and I mean, my fingers are crossed, but I'm hoping that this means they really want to know the public's feelings about it and thoughts of what, how they feel about anything coming in there before they go forward with submitting plans, which is the right thing to do. I mean,
The people don't want it.
but most people want, most developers won't do that. So, yeah, and I screamed about transparency about this, 5 years ago. I will be transparent in anything that I find out, and you have my word.
okay, I just had a thought in my head and it just escaped me. But so I guess I'll let it go there. But they're only looking to purchase. It looks like 25% of the property, so that's still going to leave 45% of the property, or I'm sorry, 75% of the property undeveloped. So I just
That's good.
But thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you, Mark. All right. Any other public comment? Any other hands raised?
I wanted to say one thing. I think it was mentioned earlier, but if you're out there in Zoom land and you have a chance to come by this building, the lobby out there looks so different because it's all lit up with this beautiful artwork. And that's all from Art in the Park, right? Or, yeah, it's just gorgeous. And it's not that drab, you know, post office vibe anymore out there. So come take a look and ask the magic word.
Wait a minute.
Huh?
We're gonna rename it Art in the Foyer. Instead of art. Foyer.
Out in the foyer.
I did see the post on Facebook. Advertising. So hopefully it catches.
Really nice.
It's
bring people
beautiful.
in. That's a great
Very
idea.
nice. He's thinking hard. We may have t-shirts next.
Okay, ask the magic question.
All right, I will ask, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
You.
Have a great evening.
Anything to sign?